Hello, my name is Kim and this is How We Met. It's a candid conversation between married couples discussing everything between the most cherished moments and the most challenging. So do me a favor, grab your favorite snack, share it with a friend, and enjoy as we go through how they met.
So how we met financially, in transparency, I went to a private school for college, and so I had student loans. And she had none, or at least very few.
A little bit.
She has few student loans. And so it kind of came out after we got married. I mean, she knew I had student loans, but the amount of it was crazy. I mean, even in my life, I was like, oh my God, when did that get there? I didn't do that.
I wanted to divorce him 3 days after we got married when we got back from that
the cruise.
Because I was just like, you got how much debt?
It was a lot of debt.
A student loan?
Yeah.
And it freaked.
So you guys never spoke about finances before you got married?
We did.
We did.
We just were transparent.
I was not transparent about the amount of student loans that I had. But
we talked about it in our marriage
we talked about
too,
marriage counseling and stuff like that.
But I feel like in our marriage counseling, we still was on the, because we still had our ideas of we're going to do it together because that's what he saw in marriage. And then I saw in marriage we did it together and he broke up our money. So in our marriage counseling, I was still saying I'm gonna do it separate. And so when we got married and then I found out the numbers, I was like, what? That number is too crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And then but he worked out some stuff and he handles that on his own. And it hasn't been an issue since then. No. Since then, because I think I was afraid of what is this going to do to my credit? What is this going to do to our finances in life? I was more so afraid of that. But then when he started, as months went on and he's handling his handle, it was like, oh, okay, I don't have to be as fearful as I was before.
Yeah. And then months after we got married, she told me how much was in her bank account. I said, girl, we going shopping, but we never did, so.
Yeah, I'm a saver, so that's another thing. Like, he never knew how much I saved. I put all of our money, all my money that I was saving, I have in a whole other account that he didn't have access to. Cause it was fear. It was fear-based. Because, I was married before and it was terrible. Like, any money we had went right out the door. So I was like, listen, you ain't gonna know how much money I have. But I did tell him where was that. God forbid I died. Here's where it's at and here's the account numbers if, I died and you needed it. So when we went to get our house.
She was pulling money out like a grandma in church.
I had so much money. He was like, I can't believe you spent all that money.
We said, oh, we need $2,000. I got it. I was like, where'd you get $2,000?
We need $4,000 here. We need $7,000 here. It was just a lot. But it was good though, because we had the money, right? And then I think I trust him and he trusts me. Like, I don't think that, he makes way more than me, but it's like probably double my salary. But it's like, I don't care that what he does with his money. I'm like, you fear God. Like, whatever you do, that's on you. Just don't come sneaking in my money, my pot, because you messed up your pot. But I don't go in his pot either. It's weird. That's weird. Because marriages is so, it seems like they're all like this.
The reason why we did not, and her justification was because when she wants to go to the dollar store.
That's right.
And spend $25 on crafting supplies, she does not want to ask for permission to go do that. And so for me, I'm thinking like, well, it should fit within the confines of whatever our goals are or whatever. Knowing that she's a saver, I would love to see what she does with my salary and on her plan. But I also know with my salary, there might be a whole lot more stuff that just pops up out of nowhere. Like, I've always had those shoes. What do you mean? This diamond ring has always been on this finger. You think it was on this one.
Right, babe. I love, though, that we do it this way, honestly, because I can't take him telling me, oh, you can't buy this, or, oh, we got to do, like, no, you don't tell me I can't buy what I need to buy. I've been working so hard. Like, if I'm going to work every single day and I know I can manage my money right, you can't tell me what I cannot buy. And he doesn't buy anything. And on the opposite, he won't buy clothes. I gotta force him to buy. When we do, like, if there's a big purchase, we get each other's advice. No, hands down. But if I'm crafting, I want to buy what I want to buy. But if there's any big purchases, we never buy without each other.
I don't think we spend 100, maybe, like if even she's about to buy something that's over $100, she'll say, hey, I'm about to get, I'm like, oh, okay. But if there's a threshold, it's a very, very, very low ceiling. It's like, or a very high ceiling. It's like, you know, $400, they must spend $400. Okay, all right, well, do we need it? Yeah, all right, let's get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made decisions about the house. You know, we put in a security system that was like almost $3,000. Babe, we need a security system. I did the research, whatever. All right, cool.
Yeah.
That was the end of the conversation, so.
Very like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever. Because I trust him and he trusts me. And we just like, okay, do what you gotta do. As long as we have a little cushion that, God forbid, an emergency, we can go to that cushion.
I think we're still meeting financially, if I'm honest. I have been groomed to constantly make sure that I can take care of myself. Because my mom and my dad got divorced when I was 8. So it was just kind of like, I'm going to be independent. Ain't nobody going to do this. I'm going to make sure I have this, because if anything goes wrong, I can take care of this. And so when I met him and we got married, Darin was more like his dad. I'm going to take care of the family. I'm going to provide. I'm going to do this, that, and the third. And I wanted my own money. I don't want to ask you for money. I don't want to stay have a joint, nothing. I want to bring in my own money. But by me even now stepping down into this stay-at-home mom position, I feel like we're still learning that rhythm, because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do this. I'm more conscious about finances now since I'm not working, and I think I was less conscious when I was working.
I think from my perspective, I'm learning a whole lot about just the two becoming one. Financially, there's the income, and then there's also expenses. There's credit, you know, there's debts, all of the above. I think, like you said, we're still learning this thing. You know, we don't have it down to a science, but I feel like we've matured and are continuing to mature. I think financially, we've taken hits. We done splurged and acted like millionaires when we really weren't before. You know, we've known what it's like to have less. We've known what it's like to have more. Yeah. I feel like I can say that we have more long-term vision and direction financially. You know, we're having more conversations about budgeting. We're having more conversations about future plans and income streams, and believing the Lord for wisdom and strategy on how to amass different levels of income. So I think a part of the journey has been, you know, like those vows, you know, for richer, for poorer. Like, I feel like we personally had to have been under a little bit to teach us about stewardship. I remember back when we were still newlyweds, we were about 6 months in. You know,
I just have to brace. No, I don't know where you're going. I'm bracing myself. Go ahead.
We were about 6 months in, and we were having some kind of conversation.
Okay.
About finances and bills and stuff like that, and still paying off debt from the wedding and all of those different things, and paying off credit cards left and right. And I remember like, oh, I'm gonna make moves. Not anything illegal or immoral, but that was kind of what started my whole like, yo, I have to like pay attention to somebody other than myself now. So that began a journey for me of, I think something shifted to where, you know, I remember what we weren't like paycheck to paycheck, like two checks away from being homeless or anything.
Right.
But it was, I remember the first time that you became concerned financially, and I wasn't in that space, because in my mind, if I'm gonna make it work, there's a strategy, there's that. You might not remember that. I remember like the feeling behind it.
I know.
It was like the first time, it's like, okay, but the bill is coming up in 3 days. What we gonna do? And it's like, it will be handled.
Trusting your husband to not lead you into a ditch is something that you have to learn. But, you know, it goes back to that trusting thing. Like, sometimes I get it. Sometimes I'm like, that don't sound right. But, okay, I'm going to take my hands off of it, because if a bill is missed or something, it's going to be on you. And you may not hear the end of it, but it's going to be on you. So
I will say this, that our credit scores have increased. that we've not been in the ditch, nowhere near. A lot wiser about different things, not just the 9 to 5. I think when we first got married, the majority of the emphasis was 9 to 5 type stuff. Now, not only do we have more vision, there's actual plans in the making. And a little inside joke about me, I love to play online Monopoly because I think it's the most intriguing thing ever, where, you know, one move can put you in jail versus the other one you make a come up. So it's stuff like that that encourages me that, you know, we store up. We pass go one more time, we go.
I'm so glad you're encouraged by Monopoly.
Trust and believe. Okay. Take your hand off of it.
All right, praise the Lord.
How we met financially. Well, of course, I was running the streets again, and Francella was making big bucks, doing her thing. You know, she was going to school for accounting and you know, bettering herself in so many ways. It took me a while to get on my feet without being out there like that. I got a job, started working, and it didn't bother me that she made more money than me, or that, you know, how some guys might be affected by it.
Or intimidated by it.
I wasn't intimidated by it at all. I was happy for her, and I knew I was going to get there one day. If I stayed focused, I would finally, you know, get myself together and get a real good gig, which I did.
Right. But we don't even look at it like that. We don't look at it like, oh, it is
our
together.
Accounts is together. We don't. Money's not a
we both bring to the table equally,
to the table.
No matter what it is.
Whether she made more than me or I made more than her, that doesn't even matter.
All right.
Because it's equal, it's all, and you know, together.
All right. Absolutely.
And, we did. I dealt with that. I had to deal with that as a man, like, you know, at first, but then it worked out. The support from her, always staying on top of me, you know, it's gonna be all right. You know, even when times was down, you know, nobody, you know, wants to give you a job, and you're looking, I got it. I'll handle it until you get on your feet. You know, I got it. She handled it.
And so for me, you know, it was never about money. It's never about the finances. Long as the bills was being paid, we good. But what can you bring to the table other than that? Right. If you didn't have any money, or you laid off, or you didn't have a job, right, what else you did? You know, I mean, you didn't just sit around. Right. You know, dinner was made if I came home from work, right, or, you know, clothes was done.
I'm a good cleaner too.
Yeah,
I was taught well.
You was taught well. Excellent job, Mom.
Excellent cleaner.
And so
I cook. You know, I take the kids, I dress them, wash them.
Yeah, so
you know,
it was like, all of that, to me, I wouldn't even wanted you to work. It was like, this was awesome, you know?
Me to be,
Mr. Mom?
Mr. Dad.
Oh, yeah, Mr.
Dad / Mom. So, no. I gotta get out there and work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, I mean, because of you, you know, going over and beyond and doing for the household, and even if it wasn't, you know, financially, that helped a lot. I mean, absolutely, you know, it goes a long way, because you have some relationships that they don't want to do anything, and so that's where the hardship and the arguments come into play. Like, we don't display, oh, I'm making more money than you, oh, I got this, he ain't, you know,
I know I was younger, and I'm sure, you know, some of the girlfriends are like, oh, yeah, young dude, you know, what you...
No, never. Nobody ever approached me, friends, family, or anything about our relationship. Everything was always positive, you know, so it didn't matter. And nobody, like I said, nobody knew what was going on behind our closed door.
And
that's our closed door.
They still don't know what's going on. They know we're doing good.
That's right.
And it's really none of their business, really.
You know?
But we don't bring, like, even family, we don't really bring them into anything that we do. Arguments, nothing. They won't know. Nothing. They wouldn't even know we was arguing. Right. We could be arguing and be around them and be, hey, you know, hugging, and they wouldn't know, and then go back to whatever. Well, we don't, yeah, but I think that's the joy in our relationship, is how
we handle things
Right, keep
in a way
outside,
that, yeah, I mean,
That's the key. Keep people out of your business.
you definitely have to, because everybody has an opinion.
And they'll break you. They'll try and
And-
break up a happy home.
Yeah, and I wouldn't stand for that, you know?
How we met change is I was pregnant with her at 40. It was very difficult pregnancy, difficult birth. I had postpartum depression. I had panic attacks and anxiety with the Holy Ghost. All of this, speaking in tongues and everything with all of these mental health issues. But it was because of what happened in the OR, and I almost lost my life. So just having a baby, because we were used to raising a 13-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 10-year-old. We were used to raising them at home, but having a baby come in the picture was a huge challenge, because I'm dealing with mental health issues. I feel like he had to weigh most of everything. I think he had to, because I was just mentally messed up for a couple months.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough. The biggest issue really was we had so many transitions happening at once. We had new job. I had just moved into the house. All the stuff that was going on in our marriage. It was just so much. And then you throw a baby in. And after everything we already talked about, think about now pregnancy on top of that. And then the baby comes and everyone wants to surround the baby as if no other issues existed, as if there was no money problems, as if there was no housing or food issues or whatever like that we were dealing with. Throw the baby in and now we become invisible, the baby becomes most important. And so that even happened in our marriage. There was times where we were just so focused on the baby and the kids. So we forgot about each other. So the change really impacted our ability to grow deep roots in our marriage, not just grow in the marriage period. Like we couldn't get deep enough. And so it took year 2 for us to get deep. Thank God for COVID. No offense to anybody's family that was impacted by it, but it helped our marriage, because there would be times where we would be working and I would say, you know what? We need to talk about such and such. Or at night, she'll say, you know, today, blah, blah, blah. Because even though the day was long, we were home already. So it was a comfortable space for us to engage in conversations and keep them going instead of just blowing up and then having to revisit after work and after all the other stress. It really helped.
How have we met changes? I think that we still are. I think that it's a constant thing. One thing that I love that we have done over the years is every transition, every change, we look at what was, what is, and what we want to see in terms of balance. So we always use the phrase, recalibrate. What does it look like for we have to recalibrate from the time that we were 2 incomes to 1, from when we went from 1 income back to 2, having children, different family transitions, emotional, spiritual transitions. Everything has caused us to have conversations about, okay, what does balance look like? And it's also enhanced our communication. We're coming together like, hey, this doesn't feel right, but we're still good, right? Yeah, we're good. It's just something is going on. Okay, what does the transition look like? What does balance look like? And I think that's kind of been our rule of thumb. Not to be extra cliche, but some stuff you just have to bear with it and just pray. We've gotten a lot of strategy just by way of, okay, let's be patient. It's not always going to be like this. I think some of that started from when we were dating. Like the very first big transition we went through was
me leaving. Yeah, I think change has always been a staple in our relationship. We've been together almost 20 years. And so to go through transition with work, to go through transition with family, to go through transition with location, I think it's just a staple. And so change is never easy. It can be very difficult, especially if you cannot communicate your process through the change with the person that you're building with. So I think that for us, although change has been difficult and very taxing at times, it's just finding that time to be creative. You got to work with what you got, and make it work. And so I feel like for us, we've talked about how to make it work a lot. especially when it comes to moving and maneuvering through our jobs, because our jobs are very taxing, always giving out to people. So making sure that we're trying to adjust and balance at home.
You made changes for me. For me, it was not hanging out at the clubs.
Buying a pair of sneakers for every sweatsuit you bought.
Buying 8-ball jackets and MCM jackets, and she chilled that right out. Like, you know, like, we got kids now, you know, and I was, you know, a shopper, like, and I hung out in the clubs all the time. So that had to chill. So that was a change for me.
The only change was within myself and what I brought into our relationship. Right. So past relationships, I took heed to any complaints about myself, because I can just, you know, all day blame breakups on the other person. Mm-hmm. But instead, I looked within myself and said, how can I better myself, and how can I make this relationship work? And I think I mastered it. Yeah. I mastered it, right?
30 years later, mastered. It's mastered.
And he's so open to, but you're so open to change. So like, you being single, you were so used to doing for yourself and buying things for you. Even though, I mean, you was buying stuff for us, but like, you couldn't just spend. Right. And so being an accountant and working in the budgeting field, like, that made me always handle my household that way, where I had to
take that money and put it to something positive.
Right. Put it to something where it needed to be, because, you know, but that ain't changed. You go to the house
Still
now,
got my sneakers.
still, it's like a Foot Locker. So that ain't changed.
Foot Locker. So I had to stop for a while, get on my feet, and I'm back.
Well, now.
So I gotta hide them when I bring them in the house. I keep them in the car for a couple days. You know, on a Friday, keep them in there. When she ain't looking, I slide them in there. So keep them in the boxes so you won't even know. Later on, I'll put them on. Where'd you get them from? How did you know that with all those pairs of sneakers?
I mean, because I know when there's a new pair of sneakers. I mean, I'm still checking you out.
They all knew.
If I don't know you got a new pair of sneakers, then you got something to worry about, because I ain't looking at you. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think we met changes in our relationship in prayer. There have been very pivotal moments in our relationship that have, we've had to do it through prayer. Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, kids transitioning to college, that takes a whole bunch of prayer, right? They're going off to college, and just 2 college tuitions. We have twins, so college tuitions, that's a big change for us. Ministry was huge. And I think one of the things is that we found early on that change was positive for us, because we were in a church, and when God told us to leave, at that moment, again, because we were married in 2 months, in my head, I had been single for so long. I was 35 when we got married. So I think I was 35 when we got married. So for all that time, I had lived single and on my own and been very independent, on my own home. All of those things that you normally do as a couple, I had done as a single woman. And now, you know, we're going, you know, down this road, and I had lost my train of thought with that.
With the ministry changes?
Oh, yeah. So the ministry, with the ministry changes, we shifted to another church. God had led us to another church.
Well, at the time when God led us out of our prior church, He was just leading us out of our prior church. We didn't have any intentions, or we didn't have any idea where we were going to go.
Right, but in that process, for me, when we got to where God sent us, for me, it was like a light switch went off.
Yeah.
So change was good, right? Because in the current situation, I was married, but I was single in my marriedness. because I hadn't switched yet. Something didn't feel right. And then when we switched churches, it was a decision we made as a married couple. And when we made that, then it was like everything fell in line.
I think that's because when we got married, when we left our church and went to another church that God sent us to, they saw us as a couple.
Yes.
So we met all these different instances and circumstances, and I think one takeaway for me is that you were created with your own individual personalities. You were created with your own individual likes and dislikes, and you have stories and experiences that lead you to set certain boundaries. That's okay. Marriage is not the amalgamation of all these things into one person, and so you lose everything about yourself because you're married. I think the benefit of being married to someone who is almost the polar opposite, or someone who's grown differently, is they can see a blind spot for you. I always thought petty was funny. My wife tells me petty is mean. People interact and say, wow, Marvin's mean. And I'm like, oh, I just thought I was trying to be funny. She looked out for a blind spot. And so it took her having to be different to be able to show me how that actually showed up. So I think how we met it with understanding that differences are okay.
And that's what I was going to say. I think I'm on one accord with him with that, because I fully feel that it's really, really important to be yourself in a relationship. When you come together with your person, don't fake. If you want to fart, fart. If you want to cough, cough. If you want to sneeze, sneeze. If you want to eat salad, eat the salad. But if you want to have a steak, have a freaking steak. Because the more you fake, the harder your relationship will be down the line. So, of course, you go in cautiously and not revealing and being so transparent. But don't go in being fake. Our first date, and I'll say it really quick. Our first date we went out on, my girlfriend called me. She had a panic attack. I called her praying for her. He had to jump in and pray for her. I wasn't faking that I wasn't a prayer person. I wasn't going to fake that all my friends were perfect and didn't have issues. I wasn't going to do that. If you was going to love me, you were going to love me. So I really, really strongly suggest that you always be who you are. When his mom said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm an entrepreneur and a counselor. She was like, you an entrepreneur? You know, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. So whatever you are, be it, not for anyone else. Be who you are. And he was who he was, and I was who I was, and then we mended and meshed, and now we are who we are 3 years later.
I think that in meeting all of these different types of circumstances, if there's a takeaway that I would like to give to any couples, it would be, as cliche as some of these things sound, you have to really take it one day at a time. If you have a spiritual life, you have to be prayerful. You have to. Because in a marriage that's just two people, in my humble opinion, you're one person short. And I think that the Lord has allowed us to come through so many different circumstances and hurdles. We can't really take on glory for ourselves. A lot of the transitions, a lot of the things that we've gone through have made us stronger. And it's not been because of any good that we've done. I think that the willingness to try and fail, that on a human level, I think that I would say, especially if there's men out there who maybe like I was in the beginning, if you're passive or if you're indirect or if you're afraid to try and fail, be a man, try, fail, and pick yourself up and try some more until things happen. Because my take is that if you're committed from the minute that you said I do, you signed up for life. And you don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next, but you know what you signed up for. So you have to take it one day at a time. You have to, be willing to try and fail and try some more. And you have to have a persistent conversation and relationship with the Lord.
I think for me, the takeaway would be use your resources. We are not created to be islands by ourselves. You get around some couples that will keep it completely 100% real with you. That marriage is hard. It is hard work, and love is not going to keep you in a marriage. I'll say that again. Love will not keep you in a marriage because it's a choice that both of you have to make every single day. And somebody could wake up and say, I don't want to be in this anymore, and opt out. So I think a marriage takes two people, but use your resources, whether that's therapy, friends, a pastor, a mentor, a parent, whomever, but use your resources because you should try every single thing you can to keep the vow that you made because you decided to make it.
Takeaway we would leave is never go to bed mad.
Never go to sleep angry, absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about it.
And if you don't talk about it right then and there, like you don't have to have that conversation right then and there.
Yeah,
wait till you
don't
cool
be super
off
mad.
and then come back and talk about it. But the main thing is also to have those conversations when you are at a good space.
Right. If you say anything out your mouth when you're mad.
Absolutely. So talk about it when you're in good space. Like, hey, babe, I really didn't appreciate the other day you did such and such. And I just wanted to say that because I didn't want to keep it in and then I blow up.
Right.
And then it becomes an argument. So try to talk about it prior to you getting angry.
Right. And once again, don't talk to anybody else about it till you fix it. Period. Don't talk about it, period. But if you talk about it to somebody else, they might give you some bad advice.
Absolutely. Half of the time they single.
Yeah,
You always
they
talking to
single.
somebody
We got
else
a lot of
or their
single
relationship ain't doing well. And so nobody can tell me about mine. I don't think I have ever in the 30 years complained or talked to anybody else about our life.
Right. You just was mad because you had no room for your shoes. Because I had sneaks down there. I mean, let's keep it 100.
Really?
You might have been a little mad about that.
I don't even think we might have had in the 30 years of marriage, 28 years of marriage, 30 years together, we probably had 3 arguments maybe. And that banana split was one of them.
Believe that? Banana split? I'm never gonna
We'll disagree.
I'm gonna go get her one as soon as we done.
We'll disagree about something. And I'm telling you,
we can go at it about a show.
We go at it, and I'll be like, "Get out of here with your big nose."
Yeah,
and then then we just start laughing.
We gotta look it up. I'll say something. She gotta go look it up. You lying? Look, that wasn't Alec Bowen. That was Richard Gere or somebody. Something like that.
Yeah, it's not arguments. It's like disagreements or something. That we just make it. We make our arguments kind of funny.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because life is just too short to have to worry about drama and stress. I mean, going out years and having, a boyfriend and dealing with the drama, them messing around or cheating
we hear all the stories.
Or anything. Like, I'm so glad that has not been a part of my life in 30 years.
We're like Mr. and Mrs. Fix-It. Like, they call us for advice. A lot of people.
Absolutely. All the time. I said I was going to start my own.
Especially Francella. My buddies ask me all the time, like, how you do it? How are you just with one woman? I'm like, what?
Can she talk to my girl? I don't even know these people. I'm talking to them.
Yeah, she talked to my buddies. I give her the phone. She school them on it. I'll school them on it. So.
Yeah, I don't consider myself an expert or anything like that, but I just know that, and I don't side with anybody. It can be, a family member. If you wrong, you wrong. I don't side with you.
She's super.
And that's the real.
That's the real. And then she come from that background. Like, your parents, how long they been married?
My parents been married 52 years.
52 years.
52 years. Shout out mom and dad.
Going strong.
Out of everything that we've come across in our marriage, what's the one thing that we would like other couples to take with them from our marriage?
Love hard, laugh a lot, and know that life is more than just the two of you.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, life is not that serious.
Right.
You know, just make the best of your life, make the best of your marriage, and find the best in each other.
Yeah.
You know, we can look and find faults. We can look and find faults in ourselves. We can look and find faults with each other. So rather than finding faults or finding blame, just find what's right.
Yep.
And live like that and live with that. You know, you say you try to be perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do we always say?
Done
beats perfect.
Perfect.
Just get her done.
Thank you for watching How We Met.